I was living what most would call the perfect life. I had a great job as a software engineer, a beautiful fiancée named Amanda who loved me, and a family I thought had my back. My brother Jackson and I grew up close after losing our dad. We supported each other through everything until I noticed something change. The way he looked at Amanda during family dinners, those lingering glances when he thought I wasn't watching. I should have known something wasn't right. Before I continue this heartbreaking story, let me know where you are watching from and hit that like button if someone you trusted ever betrayed you. We need to stand together because family betrayal cuts the deepest. Life was good for me at 28. I had a stable job as a software engineer at a growing tech company in Seattle, a beautiful apartment downtown, and most importantly, I was engaged to Amanda, the woman I believed was the love of my life. Amanda and I had been together for 3 years before I proposed. She was 27, worked as a kindergarten teacher at a school just a few blocks from our apartment, and had the kind of smile that lit up every room she walked into. The children adored her, and so did I. Every day when I picked her up from work, I watched how she interacted with those kids, so patient and loving, and I knew she would make an incredible mother someday. I proposed on our 3rd anniversary at our favorite restaurant overlooking Puget Sound. I had arranged everything with the staff beforehand. The ring came hidden in her dessert, and when she found it, her eyes filled with tears. The entire restaurant applauded as I got down on one knee. It was perfect. At least that is what I thought at the time. My mother, Linda, was overjoyed when we told her the news. She had always said Amanda was like the daughter she never had. Mom raised Jackson and me on her own after Dad died of a heart attack when I was 10 and Jackson was 7. It was tough growing up without a father, but Mom did her best to fill both roles. Jackson, my younger brother, had always been the favorite though. Mom would never admit it, but it was obvious in the way she constantly made excuses for him. At 25, he was still living at home, jumping between jobs and spending most of his time playing video games or hanging out with friends. Despite his lack of ambition, I loved my brother. Growing up, I had always protected him from bullies, helped him with homework, and tried to be the father figure he needed. We had our differences, but I never thought they ran too deep. Sure, there were times I could sense his jealousy when I got a promotion or bought a new car, but I always tried to include him in my success offering to help him find a good job or giving him career advice. I thought we were okay. Amanda and I set our wedding date for 6 months after the engagement. We were looking at houses in good school districts, planning for our future children. Everything seemed to be falling into place. I remember thinking how lucky I was, how perfect my life had become. I should have known it was too good to be true. The first signs that something was off came when Amanda began receiving texts at odd hours. She would smile at her phone, then quickly put it away when I entered the room. At first, I thought nothing of it. We all have private conversations, and I trusted her completely. Then she started disappearing for hours on the weekend, claiming she was meeting friends or running errands, but coming home without any shopping bags or stories about her day. I tried to ignore the unsettling feeling in my gut. Amanda had never given me a reason not to trust her before. But there was something about the way she acted, the secretive smiles at her phone, the unexplained absences that kept me awake at night. Around this same time, Jackson started showing up for family dinners more frequently. This was unusual for him, as he typically avoided family obligations, unless there was something in it for him. What struck me as odd was how attentive he suddenly was toward Amanda. They seemed to share inside jokes, conversations that would stop when I entered the room. One evening, I walked into the kitchen to find them standing closer than necessary, Jackson leaning toward Amanda as she laughed at something he said. They jumped apart when they noticed me, and Amanda busied herself with the dishes while Jackson made an excuse about needing to help Mom with something in the garage. I tried to rationalize it. Amanda and Jackson were going to be family soon. It was good that they were getting along so well. But the knot in my stomach grew tighter. Then came the 2-week business trip to San Francisco. My company was expanding, and I was sent to help set up the new office and train the staff there. It was a big opportunity, one that could lead to a promotion and a significant raise just in time for the wedding and house purchase. The night before I left, Amanda seemed distant. When I kissed her goodbye the next morning, her response was mechanical, lacking the warmth I was accustomed to. I chalked it up to her being tired or worried about me being away for so long. We had never spent more than a weekend apart since moving in together. During my time in San Francisco, our calls grew shorter and less frequent. Amanda always had an excuse about why she could not talk long. She was grading papers, having dinner with friends, or just too tired. When I asked about her day or shared details about mine, her responses were vague and disinterested. By the end of the first week, I had secured the promotion. I was going to be the new lead engineer with a 30% salary increase. I could not wait to share the news with Amanda, but when I called, she did not pick up. She texted back an hour later saying she was out with friends and would call tomorrow. I decided to surprise her by coming home early. The project was going well, and my boss agreed I could finish the last few days remotely. I also had found the perfect wedding band to go with her engagement ring at a small jeweler in San Francisco. I pictured the look on her face when I surprised her with both the ring and the news about my promotion. I took a late flight back to Seattle and arrived home around 11 p.m. Our apartment was dark and empty. Amanda's car was gone, which was strange considering how late it was on a weeknight. I called her phone, but it went straight to voicemail. A check of her location sharing showed it was turned off. Starting to worry, I called my mother to see if she knew where Amanda might be. Mom sounded surprised to hear from me, thinking I was still in San Francisco. She hesitated before saying she had not seen Amanda that day. Something in her voice did not sound right. I decided to drive over to my mother's house just to make sure everything was okay. When I turned onto her street, I immediately spotted Amanda's distinctive blue sedan parked in the driveway. Relief flooded through me. She must have gone to visit Mom while I was away, perhaps feeling lonely in our apartment. I grabbed the small box containing the wedding band from my pocket, smiling as I imagined surprising her. I would pretend to be upset about finding her there, then reveal that I had come home early to surprise her instead. I used my key to enter, quietly hearing voices from the living room. As I approached, I heard Amanda's laughter, that beautiful sound I had fallen in love with. But it was followed by another laugh, deeper and all too familiar. It was coming from Jackson's room at the end of the hall. I froze in the hallway, my hand still on the ring box in my pocket. I wanted to burst into the room to demand answers, but something held me back. Maybe there was an innocent explanation. Maybe they were planning a surprise for me, or maybe Jackson was just showing Amanda something funny on his computer. I took a deep breath and walked back to the kitchen, deciding to announce my presence normally rather than jumping to conclusions. I called out, "Mom, Amanda, is anyone home?" The laughter stopped abruptly. I heard hurried whispers and the sound of movement. A few moments later, Jackson appeared in the hallway looking flushed and uncomfortable. "Colby, what are you doing here? I thought you were in San Francisco. Until next week," he said, his voice slightly higher than normal. Before I could answer, Amanda emerged from Jackson's room, smoothing her hair. She looked shocked to see me, but quickly composed herself and came to give me a hug. It felt stiff, forced. "We were just watching some funny videos," she explained too quickly. "Your mom invited me over for dinner, since I was alone, and Jackson was showing me some YouTube channel he follows." Mom appeared from her bedroom, surprise evident on her face. "Colby, what a nice surprise. Why did not you tell us you were coming home early?" The explanation seemed plausible, but something felt off. The tension in the room was palpable. I decided to let it go for now, but I could not ignore the way Jackson avoided eye contact with me for the rest of the evening, or how Amanda seemed eager to leave as soon as possible. The following week was strange. Jackson, who typically avoided family gatherings, suddenly appeared at every dinner. He was constantly checking his phone under the table, smiling at messages he received. Amanda continued to be distant, finding excuses to stay late at work or meet up with friends I had never heard her mention before. I was trying to focus on the positive, planning how to tell Amanda about my promotion and the beautiful new house I had found that was within our budget thanks to my raise. I wanted to believe that everything was fine, that I was just being paranoid. Then, 7 days after my return from San Francisco, I overheard a conversation that shattered my world. I had stopped by my mother's house to help her fix a leaky faucet, and Jackson did not know I was there. I was in the garage getting tools when I heard him on the phone through the open window. "Amanda, you need to tell him soon. I cannot keep living like this." Jackson's voice was urgent. "I know it is hard, but you cannot marry him, knowing how you feel about me." There was a pause as he listened. I know. But we did not mean for this to happen. And after what he did in San Francisco with that coworker, you deserve better anyway. At least I would never cheat on you." My blood ran cold. Coworker cheating. What was he talking about? I had been working 16-hour days in San Francisco, completely focused on the project. There was no coworker, no cheating. It was a complete fabrication. I wanted to confront him immediately, but something told me to wait. I needed to understand the full extent of this betrayal. I left without fixing the faucet, telling Mom I had forgotten an important meeting. I could not look her in the eye, afraid she might see the devastation written all over my face. 2 days later, Amanda finally confronted me. She came home from work with red eyes and a determined expression. "We need to talk," she said, sitting across from me at our kitchen table. "I know about San Francisco Colby, about the woman you were with." "What woman, Amanda? There was no woman." I was working the entire time, I said, genuinely confused. "Stop lying," she shouted, tears streaming down her face. "Jackson saw the text messages on your laptop when he borrowed it last week. The ones between you and some woman named Lauren from the San Francisco office. He was trying to protect me by not saying anything, but he could not keep it from me forever." I was stunned into silence. There was a Lauren at the San Francisco office, but our interactions had been purely professional. I had not texted her anything that could be construed as inappropriate. And Jackson had never borrowed my laptop. I always kept it locked with a password he did not know. "Amanda, that is completely untrue. Jackson is lying to you. I never cheated, and he never saw any messages because there were none to see. Why would you believe him over me?" She slid her engagement ring across the table toward me. "Because unlike you, Jackson has been honest with me." He showed me the screenshot. Screenshot of what Amanda think about this. Jackson could have easily fabricated anything. "Have I ever given you a reason not to trust me?" She stood up, shaking her head. "I cannot do this, Colby. I need some time to think. I am going to stay with a friend for a few days." She left that night with a small suitcase. I was devastated, but also confused and angry. Why would Jackson make up such a lie? And more importantly, why would Amanda so readily believe him over me? The next day, Amanda came back to the apartment while I was at work to pick up more clothes. She accidentally left her phone on the charger in our bedroom. When I came home and found it, I did something I never thought I would do. I checked her messages. What I found confirmed my worst fears. Dozens of text messages between her and Jackson dating back several months. Messages full of heart emojis, inside jokes, and plans to meet up while I was away. The most recent exchange made me sick to my stomach. "Jackson, did you tell him, Amanda, yes?" He denied it, of course. "Jackson, they always do. Did you leave Amanda? Yes. Staying at Jamie's for now." "Jackson, you could stay here. Mom would not mind." "Amanda, not yet. Too soon. People would talk." "Jackson, I love you. We will figure this out." "Amanda, I love you too. I just wish things were simpler." I sat on our bed, Amanda's phone still in my hand, feeling like the world was collapsing around me. The two people I trusted most had been betraying me for months, and now they were using a fabricated story about me cheating to justify their own affair. I decided to confront them both at once. I texted Amanda from my own phone, asking her to come home so we could talk. Then I called Jackson, telling him I needed his help with something important at my apartment. Neither suspected I had seen their messages. When they both arrived, the shock on their faces at seeing each other there with me said it all. Before either could speak, I held up Amanda's phone. "I know everything I said." My voice surprisingly calm despite the storm inside me. "I saw your messages, all of them." Jackson recovered first. "You went through her phone. That just proves you do not trust her. Do not try to turn this around, Jackson. You lied about me cheating with someone from San Francisco. You created fake screenshots. Why? So you could steal my fiancée? Amanda was crying now. It was not like that, Colby. It just happened. We did not plan it. When I demanded, "When did this start?" They exchanged glances, and in that moment, I knew it had been going on longer than I had initially thought. "We have always had a connection," Jackson finally said, straightening his shoulders. "Even before you two started dating. I just never acted on it because you are my brother. But when I saw how she looked at me during your engagement party, I knew she felt it too." I turned to Amanda, disbelief washing over me. "Is that true? You have had feelings for my brother since before we were even engaged." She could not meet my eyes. "I care about you, Colby. I really do. But with Jackson, it is different. More intense. I did not realize it until recently." "Recently? Your texts go back months." I was shouting now, my composure finally breaking. "I was confused," she said weakly. "And then when we found out you cheated—" "I never cheated. Jackson made that up to manipulate you. Jackson stepped between us. She deserves better than you, Colby. You have always had everything handed to you. The good job, the nice apartment, Mom's approval. What do I have? Nothing. So yes, when I realized Amanda had feelings for me too, I took my shot. I could not believe what I was hearing. My own brother had deliberately destroyed my relationship out of jealousy and resentment. And Amanda, the woman I wanted to spend my life with, had been receptive to his advances. "Get out," I said quietly. "Both of you. Now." After they left, I drove to my mother's house, hoping to find some comfort, some allies in my pain. Mom had always been fair, even with her slight preference for Jackson. Surely she would be outraged by what they had done. I was wrong. "Mom, I need to talk to you," I said as soon as she opened the door. "It is about Jackson and Amanda." She sighed and let me in, but her expression was resigned, rather than surprised. "I know Colby. They told me everything. Everything. Including how Jackson lied about me cheating to steal Amanda away." Mom sat down on the couch looking tired. "Colby relationships are complicated. Sometimes people just are not meant to be together." I could not believe what I was hearing. "Mom, they lied. They betrayed me. How can you be so calm about this?" She reached out to pat my hand. "Maybe this is for the best, honey. Amanda was always a bit too ambitious for you anyway. And Jackson, well, he has had such a hard time finding his place in the world. Maybe Amanda is what he needs to finally grow up and take responsibility." I pulled my hand away, stunned. "Are you seriously taking their side in this?" "I am not taking sides," she insisted. But her next words betrayed her. "But maybe you should consider that Amanda was never really meant for you anyway. Sometimes these things happen for a reason." That was the moment I realized I had lost not just my fiancée, but my entire family. Mom had known about their affair and had said nothing, perhaps even encouraged it, believing it would help her favorite son. "How long have you known?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She looked away. "I suspected something when you were in San Francisco. They were here together almost every night. I told myself they were just becoming friends, but deep down I knew. And you did nothing to stop it. You did not think to call me, warn me. It was not my place to interfere," she said defensively. "And besides, Jackson has always had so little. Is it so wrong for him to find happiness at the expense of mine?" "Yes, Mom, it is wrong." I left her house that night feeling more alone than I ever had in my life. The final blow came 3 months later when I received a wedding invitation. Jackson and Amanda were getting married. The invitation was probably Mom's idea, some misguided attempt at reconciliation. I did not respond. I attended the wedding anyway, standing in the back of the church, watching as my brother married the woman who was supposed to be my wife. Throughout the ceremony, I heard whispers from relatives and friends who believed Jackson's lies about me cheating. Some even suggested I had been abusive, adding to the fabricated narrative that justified their betrayal. During the reception, I overheard my uncle talking to a cousin. Poor Amanda finally found a good Turner man after what Colby put her through. My aunt nodded, Linda says she always knew Jackson and Amanda were perfect for each other. Says Amanda was too good for Colby anyway. That night I made my decision. I would not stay where I was not wanted, where my character had been assassinated to make others feel better about their betrayal. I packed my essential belongings, put my apartment up for sale, and applied for transfers to tech companies on the East Coast. I wrote a short letter to my mother, Mom. I am leaving Seattle. I cannot stay and watch you support a relationship built on lies and betrayal. When you chose to protect Jackson's happiness at the expense of mine, you lost a son, not the one you think. Goodbye, Colby. I did not leave a forwarding address. Boston became my fresh start. I found a position at a promising tech startup and threw myself into work. My pain became fuel, driving me to excel in every project. I worked longer hours than anyone else volunteered for the most challenging assignments and quickly built a reputation as someone who could solve any problem. In the beginning, I lived like a ghost. My apartment was sparsely furnished, just a bed, a desk, and a couch. I had few friends and no romantic interests. The betrayal had left me wary of letting anyone get close. I checked my email and social media obsessively at first, part of me hoping for an apology from Amanda or Jackson, or at least some acknowledgement from my mother that she had been wrong. Nothing came. After 6 months, I deleted all my social media accounts and changed my email address. I could not move forward while constantly looking back. The startup began to gain traction. Our innovative approach to cybersecurity caught the attention of larger tech companies. As one of the earliest employees, I had been granted significant equity, which grew in value as the company expanded. 2 years after joining, I was promoted to Chief Technology Officer. The promotion came with more equity and a substantial salary increase. I bought my first luxury car, not out of vanity, but because for the first time in my life I could afford something simply because I wanted it, not because I needed it. It was a small act of self-care. Working closely with our CEO, I helped navigate a complex acquisition deal with one of the largest tech companies in the world. The buyout made headlines in the tech industry and made millionaires of the founding team, myself included. At 31, I had more money than I had ever dreamed of having. It was during this time that I met Sophia. She was the architect designing the new headquarters for our expanding company. Unlike Amanda, Sophia was fiercely independent and direct. She called me out when I worked too late, challenged my ideas when they needed challenging, and refused to let me hide behind my work to avoid dealing with my emotional baggage. "You are successful, attractive, and smart," she told me one night after I had declined yet another invitation to dinner. "But you are letting whoever hurt you in the past control your future. That gives them way too much power." Her words hit home. I had been so focused on proving my worth through professional success that I had neglected to heal emotionally. With Sophia's encouragement, I started therapy. Slowly, I learned to trust again, to be vulnerable, to let someone see the parts of me I had kept hidden since leaving Seattle. Our relationship developed, naturally built on mutual respect and honest communication. Sophia never tried to change me or shape me into someone I was not. She celebrated my successes, but loved me regardless of them. It was a revelation to be valued for who I was, not what I could provide or how I could be used. Meanwhile, through a former colleague who still lived in Seattle, I occasionally heard news about Jackson and Amanda. Their marriage was struggling. Jackson had been fired from several jobs and was working as a rideshare driver. Amanda had quit teaching to have a baby, but they were living with my mother because they could not afford their own place. The perfect relationship they had betrayed me for was crumbling under the weight of real-life responsibilities. I felt no joy in their struggles, only a sense of cosmic justice. I had risen from the ashes of their betrayal, building a life better than the one they had stolen from me. After the acquisition, I decided to start my own company. I had ideas that I believed could revolutionize how small businesses approached cybersecurity, making high-level protection accessible and affordable. Sophia supported my vision completely, even designing our first office space pro bono. The company took off faster than even I had anticipated. Within 18 months, we had clients across the country and a growing team of talented engineers. My story from heartbreak to success was featured in several business magazines. I never mentioned the specifics of what happened in Seattle, but I did speak about how personal setbacks can become professional motivation if channeled correctly. One day, I received an email from an address I did not recognize. The subject line was simply "Family Reunion." I almost deleted it as spam, but something made me open it. Dear Colby, it has been 5 years since you left, and not a day goes by that I do not regret my part in what happened. The family is having a reunion next month at the old lake house. Jackson and Amanda will be there with their children. Things have been difficult for them, and I think seeing you reconnecting with you might be healing for everyone. I understand if you do not want to come. I would not blame you, but know that your mother misses you terribly and would love to see the man you have become. Love, Mom. I stared at the email for a long time, emotions warring within me. Part of me wanted to ignore it to continue the life I had built without them. But another part, a part that had been healing with Sophia's help and my own hard work, was curious. Not about reconnecting, but about closing that chapter completely on my terms this time. Sophia encouraged me to go. You do not have to forgive them, she said, but facing them might help you finally let go of the last bit of anger you are carrying. I decided she was right. I would attend the reunion, not seeking reconciliation but closure. I would show them that their betrayal had not broken me, that I had thrived despite their best efforts to villainize and discard me. The day of the reunion arrived. Sophia offered to come for moral support, but this was something I needed to do alone. I drove my Tesla Model S, a car worth more than $200,000, a tangible symbol of how far I had come. It was not about showing off wealth, but about showing strength, resilience, and success on my own terms. As I approached the lake house, I saw a familiar scene unfolding on the side of the road. A beat-up old station wagon was pulled over, hood up, smoke billowing out. Jackson was leaning over the engine while Amanda stood by with 2 small children looking stressed and tired. My mother was on her phone, presumably calling for help. I pulled over and got out of my car. They did not recognize me at first. 5 years had changed me. I was fitter, more confident, dressed in clothes that reflected my success. Need some help, I asked, walking toward them. Jackson looked up, his eyes widening in recognition. Colby. Amanda paled, clutching her children closer as if I might somehow harm them. My mother dropped her phone, tears immediately springing to her eyes. Colby, oh my God, you came. I nodded, keeping my distance. Car trouble. Jackson wiped his hands on his jeans, which I noticed were worn and faded. This piece of junk broke down again. We are going to be late to the reunion. I can give you a ride, I offered, gesturing to my Tesla. Plenty of room for everyone. They looked at my car, then at each other, a mixture of shame and resentment on their faces. They had betrayed me, lied about me, destroyed my reputation, and stolen my future, all for a relationship that had clearly not delivered the happiness they expected. And now here I was, successful beyond their imagination, offering them help they desperately needed but did not deserve. I will never forget the look on their faces as they reluctantly accepted my offer and climbed into my car. The children, innocent in all of this, were excited about the fancy car with the big screen. Jackson sat silently in the passenger seat, his posture rigid. Amanda and my mother took the back with the kids, whispering to each other occasionally. As we drove the short distance to the lake house, I felt an unexpected sense of peace wash over me. I had worried about this moment for years, imagined scenarios where I would confront them, make them admit their lies, force them to acknowledge the pain they had caused me. But sitting there successful and whole despite their betrayal, I realized I did not need any of that. The family reunion was awkward, as expected. Relatives who had believed the worst about me now fawned over my success, asking about my company, commenting on my car, wondering if I was single. I answered politely but briefly, not interested in their sudden approval. Later, my mother found me alone on the dock, looking out at the lake where Jackson and I had spent summers as children. "You look good, Colby," she said tentatively. "Really good. Thank you," I replied, not making it easy for her. "I am sorry," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I was wrong to take sides. Wrong to believe the worst about you. Wrong to push you away. I turned to look at her, this woman, who had raised me, but failed to protect me when it mattered most. She had aged significantly in the 5 years since I had seen her last. The strain of supporting Jackson and his failing family had taken its toll. I forgive you, I said simply. But forgiveness does not mean things go back to the way they were. It just means I am not carrying the anger anymore. Tears streamed down her face. Can we at least stay in touch? I want to know my son again. I nodded. We can try. Slowly. Jackson approached next alone. Amanda watched nervously from across the yard. Nice car, he said. A hint of the old jealousy in his voice. Thanks. How are things, Jackson? He shrugged, looking down at his worn shoes. Tough. Cannot seem to catch a break. The kids are great, though. I am glad to hear that. An uncomfortable silence stretched between us before he finally spoke again. I was wrong, Colby. About everything. I lied about you cheating. I pursued Amanda knowing how much she meant to you. I convinced myself you deserved it because you always had everything I wanted. It was the closest thing to an apology I was likely to get from him. You know what is funny, Jackson? I would have given you anything. I tried to help you find jobs, offered to pay for your education, wanted to see you succeed. But the one thing I could not give you was what you took. My trust. He nodded, unable to meet my eyes. Take care of those kids, I said. They deserve better than what we had growing up. I did not speak to Amanda directly that day. There was nothing left to say between us. The life we might have had together seemed like a distant dream, one that belonged to different people entirely. Before leaving, I gave my mother an envelope. Inside was information about a trust I had set up for her, enough money to live comfortably without having to support Jackson and his family. This is for you, I told her, not for them. It is time Jackson stood on his own 2 feet. She hugged me tightly. Thank you. For this and for coming today. Driving away from the lake house, I called Sophia. How did it go? She asked. Better than expected, I replied honestly. I think I can finally close that chapter now. The betrayal that once defined me had become merely a part of my story, not its conclusion. I had built a life I loved, found a partner who truly valued me, and created success on my own terms. The best revenge was not showing up in an expensive car, though, that had been satisfying in the moment. The best revenge was living well on my own terms, without letting their betrayal determine my worth or happiness. If you have ever been betrayed by those closest to you, remember this: the greatest act of self-love is refusing to allow their actions to define your future. The pain they caused can either break you or build you into someone stronger than they ever imagined you could be. Which path will you choose? Share your own story of overcoming betrayal in the comments. And if this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share so others who might be healing from similar wounds know they are not alone. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the family you choose is more valuable than the one you were born into.